Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to the Actuaries Day event organized by the Institute of Actuaries of India. Shri L.S. Gandhinagar was India's first actuary, and we celebrate the 21st of August in the honor of this great profession. To me, being an actuary is part of my identity. I talk actuary, I walk actuary, and sometimes I laugh actuary as well. What a lineup of speakers we have today, and as the day unfolds, you'll see all of them coming through. I'm Sana Kunur, and I'm extremely excited to be hosting this event today. I recently rejoined EYGDS as an associate director, having recently returned to India from Australia. I'm a qualified GI actuary with over 18 years of experience in India, UK, and Australia, and recently got exposure to IFRS 17 through implementation, complementing the rest of my experience in non-life insurance reserving, audit, performance monitoring, and Solvency II. Our first session for the day is the welcome address. Sorry, sorry about that. We'll start by the auspicious lighting of the lamps. I call upon Shri Tushargiri and our esteemed guests.
शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
Our next session will be this was an alarm to pick up my kids. Our next session will be a welcome address by Commander Tushargiri. He's the Executive Director of the Institute of Actuaries of India. With over 20 years of experience in the Indian Navy, Commander Tushargiri, retired, has served in leadership roles across diverse domains. He joined as Executive Director at the Institute of Actuaries of India in September 2023. I welcome you. Do welcome everyone.
Thank you very much, Sana. Our guest of honor, Shri Praveen Trivedi ji, Shri Dipesh Shah ji, our guests from Australia, Cheryl and Mr. Sheikh, our panelists who you get to see later in the evening, and all the delegates who are here, and all the young students who've endured the rain and the distance to be here. We are indeed, delighted to see all of you here at, and sorry, Kiranji and Tanushri from Wollongong. Thank you very much for being here. It's indeed a pleasure for Institute of Actuaries of India to commemorate Actuaries Day at Gandhinagar. And while historically we've been doing it at Mumbai, we thought let's move it, and that's when we decided, in the process of deciding where would be the most suitable venue to host it, we thought, what better than Gift City, Gandhinagar. So here we are. That's where I, would like to stop this address. But I would, there's an interesting poem which has been written by an actuary, and he sent it to me today morning, wishing me happy Actuaries Day. So it's just not about data and numbers. You'd see that, they're also brimming with an immense amount of creativity. Of course, some of which you'll witness firsthand during the panel discussion. So here it goes. The architects of tomorrow. In a realm where numbers silently speak, Indian actuaries stand brilliant and unique. Crafting futures with a careful hand, they build the paths where uncertainties land. With wisdom they journey through data's maze, turning the complex into guiding rays. Where others seek chaos, they find the rhyme. Measuring moments, transcending time. In every equation, a story unfolds of risks managed, of futures bold. Yet in their craft, they seek no praise, for their work is a beacon, a steady blaze. On this day, we pause to admire and reflect on those who predict, protect, and project. Indian actuaries, with quiet grace, you're the guardians of tomorrow's face. That's it from me, and I hand it over back to Sana. And I'm sure all of you, the poem resonates with all of you, right? Practicing actuaries. So a round of applause to this young poet who's an actuary, and he does a lot for us. Thank you very much.
I never thought that they would come, an actuary and a poet. Our next session is the presidential address. The presidential address will be provided by Mr. Arunachalam Rajaram. He's the president of the Institute of Actuaries of India. He has over 30 years of industry experience, and he holds a degree in mathematics and is a fellow member of the Institute of Actuaries of India and Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India. He has served on various committees and commitments and advisory boards covering areas such as marketing, finance, and underwriting. I welcome you.
Thank you, Sana. Good afternoon, all of you. My dear Praveen ji and Dipesh ji from IFSCA. Dear Steve Stern, Sheikh and Cheryl, thank you so much for coming all over from Australia for this event from Bond University. I'm not sure whether we have Amit ji and Vimal ji from IMA and IIT Gandhinagar. They have been very helpful, and they would be joining us today a little later. Dear Kiran and Tanushri from Wollongong, thank you so much. Your presence is an inspiration for us. Dear fellow panelists, Shubha, Sinjini, Asta, Nishta, my dear fellow members, associates, students, my dear future students who have come all the way from various colleges and university. Thanks to Nirma University as well, who have who have come in huge numbers here. My dear friends, members who have joined online, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all of you. Actuaries Day, as you all know, has been celebrated on 21st of August, L.S. Vaidyanathan's birthday. I don't have to brief about all of that. But why Gift City? All of a sudden you have been celebrating in Bombay, Bangalore and other places, but all of a sudden why Gift City? Gift City for various reasons. I'm sure all of you know that this is the pet project of the Honorable Prime Minister in projecting India in a global footprint. This is the pet project in multiple ways, not just because it is from the Prime Minister, but also because it combines every financial aspects which resonates with actuaries. We have a unified regulator over here, IFSCA, who have been supportive to us all throughout. Thank you to Rajaraman ji, the chairperson of IFSCA, who have been very kind enough to invite us. We have an MOU with them. We signed an MOU for taking up the actuarial initiatives from the Gift City. But just not that. As you know, India is rising. India is rising in many facets, be it on the GDP or the economy, the fourth largest, the second largest, but in terms of people's power, in terms of connectivity, in terms of computing, everywhere we are just progressing. And if you look at one bright spot today, leave alone the geopolitical risks, we are there. We are looking at an advanced India, Viksit Bharat by 2047. The insurance regulator have put up a vision for insurance for all by 2047. To achieve all of this, we need professionals. We need professionals who could look at the various facets of the risk, the finance, whatever that Tushar mentioned in the poem, the predict, protect, and the project part of it. As such, the Institute of Actuaries of India have a global vision, global ambition in terms of serving the requirements for the world from the actuarial side of it. Already we have a huge amount of workforce who's operating from India on the actuarial side. We have more than 5,000 to 6,000 footprint in the India, but it is going to grow rapidly in terms of thousands and tens of thousands in the coming years. Given that we have a global ambition, given that IFSCA is a unified regulator and they are setting up this particular area as a gift city with a lot of tax advantages and also a place where the global players can come and operate, we thought it would be appropriate for us at this point of time to celebrate this event in Gift City. Not just that, as you have seen, we have people travel from Australia. We have Cheryl and Sheikh who have come from Australia. We have been, as you know, we have been working on creating more awareness of the actuarial profession, about the actuarial profession. The profession is a little less known, I would say. I use the word little, apologies for that, less known rather. Wherever I go, I'll have to do a lot of explanation as to what we do. So the one thing that we started is about creating more awareness. We'll have to do every little step, and in that I must thank my executive director Tushar Giri and the entire office for putting no stone unturned in spreading the awareness across the schools, across the colleges. We have been conducting seminars after seminar, week after week, in spreading the awareness. But just not that, we have also started accrediting colleges and universities. As you know, we have an accreditation program. One of the difficulties that we had is that we are not a regular college going academic course. It's studied on on a self-study mode, and hence we thought it would be appropriate for us to have colleges accredited in a kind of a hub and spoke model, should I say, but related to that to some extent. We have successfully accredited 2 institutions, in fact more than 2, if I'm not wrong, Tushar would add to it. That's in the pipeline, the announcements are in the pipeline. About 3 to 4 institutions we have already accredited. When I say accreditation, that means the students who are studying in some particular program in their college, if they meet some condition, they will get or gain exemption from some of our subjects. We have about 13 subjects to qualify, and if a person goes through a program which is accredited, they may get an exemption, maybe in 2 subjects, maybe in 4 subjects, provided they qualify the condition, they meet the conditions. So in that context, we are very happy to announce, in fact, I'm thankful to Sheikh as well as Tushar for taking this forward at such a fast pace. I'm happy to announce an MOU with Bond University, which Tushar and Sana would speak about a bit later. This is the first time that we are having a MOU with a international university. We do have kind of agreements with global bodies, but that's not an university or college per se. So we are having a memorandum of understanding with the Bond University of Australia. Sana would brief that as we progress. Thank you, Cheryl and Sheikh, for putting it all together in such a fast time, and thank you, Tushar and the entire team for doing it. And that's also one of the reasons why we thought we would do it from Gift City, right? They have all the privileges to operate out of Gift City on a campus basis, right? That would be an additional campus for them. It's not going to be a new university out of India, but that would be a campus of the Bond University. Of course, they have other universities here, Wollongong and Deakin are operating out, but they are also looking at it. Coming back to my members, as you know, in the last few years, we have turned a bit more on the education and the academic part of it. A lot of initiatives have happened. I don't have to go through it. But as you know, we have changed some of the formats. A few subjects would come through as objective type, but that's not completely objective type. Part of the subject would still be descriptive as you will all see it. But yes, there is a bit of format change in alignment with the global standards. The online examination or the home-based examination that we have been conducting, we are moving into a center-based, however, an online mode, given the risks and given the issues that we have been facing. We have improved the transparency in terms of the marks, in terms of the valuation of the subjects. You can also see as a result of the various counseling, the performance are improving, and I hope the standards also improve as a result of that. But just not that, I'm very happy to actually announce a completion of a ERP project. This is about 33 modules. There's an IT project which have commenced quite some time back. There are about 33 modules. The integration of these have been completed. I'm sure the members will soon receive a mail. But just briefly, it will have a very good user-friendly interface. The services are digitized quite fast, and there is a lot of enhanced security, and the responsiveness of the platform would be quite fast. Earlier we have difficulties in terms of the response time. If multiple members log in, that would improve. So thank you, ITT, Tushar, Vinod, and the entire IT team, Larry, and the entire office IT team for putting this together. It's a huge achievement. It's 33 modules putting all together. Kudos to you. Coming back, I'm sure all of you know that we have MOUs. We have MOU last year with Swiss Re. Thank you, Swiss Re, for that. Now we announced it on the Actuaries Day. We have had, as a result of it, a few academic institutions coming on board in terms of course and programs getting accredited. But we have not just stopped there. We have further enhanced that MOU to the institutions of eminence who are present in India. So there is an MOU which have been finalized with IIT Tirupati. They could not come due to various reasons, but that will be signed in a short while from now. But the approval have from the IIT Tirupati for the memorandum of understanding with them. So there are quite a lot of initiatives, right? You can see we are celebrating it from Gift City. We have MOUs with universities. We are wanting to grow. We are improving on the member services. What happens, as we have more people, what would they do, right? So we also have to look at the opportunities for our members. As you know, actuaries are really less in number, so we still have a lot of space. We need more actuaries, we need more associates, we need more students, even in the current context. But as you know, recently, the government has notified the IFRS 17, the standard, accounting standard for insurers. The IRDA will follow suit on the implementation plans. There is a risk-based capital which is coming on the insurance side. These are all some of the developments which happen on the insurance side only, which are quite emerging, and that will require a lot of our fellow members, associates, and students, especially the IFRS 17, I'm sure, and the RBC. The product development, as you know, have been decentralized, and the products are getting now approved by the insurance companies at their place itself, most of them. A very few of them come to the insurance regulator for approval. And hence there is a lot of requirement from that side as well, risk as well. We have reached out to banking with the support of the ministry, with the support of the Indian Banks Association. We have been trying to explain to them as to how we can add value, and they have been gracious enough to give us opportunity in presenting our case to the Risk Management Committee of IBA. We have presented to them. They are evaluating our proposals, but I'm sure they would be looking at us positively, and something would come soon. And you can keep watching on this space, especially on the banking side, as opportunities will start flowing. The risk landscape is quite emerging. As you know, the climate, the cyber, something which is new. We are working on developing certifications around that, in tandem with the best institutes of eminence in India, be it from IT or IIM, be it from Gujarat or elsewhere. We are working on getting a proper certification, a joint certification with Institute of Actuaries of India and global or the local institutes of eminence. Apart from this, we have the data science, which is definitely spreading. You will hear Steve today on how data science have been used in the sports side of it. There are cases where it's been used on the consumer goods side of it, FMCG, pharma. So there are quite a lot of areas where we can apply ourselves. This apart from the global capability center, which I mentioned, where it is going to touch in tens and thousands. Currently it's about 5,000, and we are looking at 20, 30,000 in the next 5 years to come. Quite a lot of opportunities for youngsters. This is a growing field. This is a field which is in the trinity of financial modeling, risk management, and data science. I mean, it's like a computer, science engineer, but it's not exactly that, because you have added finance to it, you have added risk to it. You can do coding, because our members are very well versed in R, Python, whatever that they would like to do, they do it. So there is quite a lot, and we are trying to stand up to the challenges grow the profession, serve the industry, and serve the country. That's quickly from my side. I would like to stress today is a day for celebration. It is not a day for me to say about what we are doing or how we have achieved. It's for you to enjoy. It's for you to engage with all of those who have come over here, connect, and then celebrate. I'm sure all of you will agree with me. I'm just going to quote Mahatma Gandhi, having come over here to Gujarat. What we do today is our future. Thank you. Happy Actuaries Day to all of you.
Happy Actuaries Day indeed. Bright futures ahead for all of us here. The next one will be a short video by Mr. Charles Cowling. He's the president of the International Actuarial Association.
Good afternoon. It's my great pleasure to be able to talk to you today at your Actuaries Day. I'm sorry I can't be there. I'm Charles Cowling and I'm president of the International Actuarial Association. And it's my great pleasure to bring you greetings from the International Actuarial Association. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the IAA, just to give you an introduction. Then I want to just say a few words about the actuary of the future and what that might mean for us and for the next generation of actuaries. And then I'm going to talk to you briefly about how the IAA is responding to the challenges that the future holds, in particular in the area of artificial intelligence. So the IAA, we represent actuaries around the world. 75,000 or more actuaries in over 115 countries. We have associations in every continent, and wherever you look, the actuarial profession is growing. And I'm particularly delighted that it's growing in India. And I was lucky enough to be able to join you for your global conference in Mumbai earlier this year. And I'm only sorry I can't be with you today, but I have seen firsthand how exciting the profession is in India, and I'm delighted that Aaron and all my friends at the Institute of Actuaries in India are doing so well to promote the growth of the actuarial profession. But I want to talk to you about the global profession. So as I say, we're right across the world in every continent and in pretty much every major country in the world. There are still some gaps in Africa and one or two gaps in South America, but pretty much the actuarial profession can point to wherever there is a thriving economy, then actuaries are at the heart of it. Now, the IAA exists to achieve three main things. We don't interfere with the work of local actuarial associations or try to do things that are better done in a local association. But there are many things that we can benefit by sharing what's happening globally. And these are the main areas that we focus on at the IAA. So the first one is our ability to influence and impact global stakeholders. And by global stakeholders, I mean supranational organizations such as the United Nations, such as the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, the International Organization of Pension Supervisors, the OECD, the World Health Organization, the World Bank. These global organizations can't speak to every single individual association, but they can speak to the global profession. And that's why they want to come and talk to the IAA. And secondly, we're all about looking to assure the future, the reputation of the profession and the future growth of the profession. And that means helping share expertise around education, around professionalism, and helping develop those associations that haven't got fully operational standards or education systems, but also sharing the best of what other associations are doing so that every country is able to learn from others. And then finally, we have an important role in advancing the competency of the profession. So that's all about sharing actuarial expertise, sharing new developments, sharing new ideas so that we can all learn from each other. And that way, the IAA is a great hive of activity, of people learning from each other. And certainly speaking personally, I've learned a huge amount from being able to see and hear from actuaries from around the world. But, and it's an important but, and the thing I want to sort of focus on for the rest of my short address to you today, AI is affecting everything that we're doing. It's affecting all of the key areas of the mission of the IAA. All of those global stakeholders I mentioned are really focused on how AI is affecting them. When you look at things like the education of future actuaries, how professional standards are developing, AI is having a fundamental impact on all of those areas. And then when you look at the expertise that we as actuaries are developing, whether it's in modelling, whether it's in developing new applications for how we use data, or whether it's about whole new areas of actuarial expertise, the impact of AI is huge. So at the moment, we're focusing a lot of our energy at the IAA on how we respond to AI. So I thought I'd say a few more things about how that's going to affect the actuary of the future. Because there are a number of different futures that are possible. There was a great article in the Casualty Actuarial Society Actuarial Review recently by Jim Weiss. And he suggested 4 possible futures depending on whether there will be an adjustment to our roles, an adjustment to the number of actuaries, impact to the number of actuarial roles. And he gave these 4 scenarios some names. Groundhog Day, nothing much changes. We continue doing our jobs, but we now have more sophisticated tools. But essentially, actuaries are doing what they're always doing. I don't think that's likely, and therefore I want to focus on some of the other scenarios that are, in my view, more likely. This second scenario, Judgment Day, this is where AI has a massive impact in terms of the demand for the number of actuaries. AI is taking over lots of our roles, and actuaries end up pivoting into completely different roles, perhaps behavioural scientists. Again, I don't think that's likely, and I don't particularly want to focus too much on that one, but it is a possibility. If all of the number crunching is being done by AI, what do we end up doing as actuaries? The doomsday scenario is that we're gone altogether, that AI completely replaces us. And there are arguments for that. AI is getting better and better at doing routine work. It's very good at finding data right across the internet, as you might have discovered if you tried to find out what AI knows about you. And once you've created something, it's out there. And if you look at what the latest auto GPT capabilities are, it's scary. And it's possible to see a scenario where AI takes over more and more tasks, more and more complex work, and there's only a few actuaries left that are needed for tasks that just can't be performed by AI. So that's one possible future. Another future, which I think is perhaps the most likely, is that we start to transition into advanced data scientists. It's sort of not like doomsday. We will still need a lot of actuaries, but we start doing slightly different roles. And there are good reasons why this should be the potential future. Humans are unpredictable. AI can do some things, but actually humans are still going to be needed. And I believe this is a very likely scenario. Yes, we're going to use AI to do lots of low-risk automatable tasks, but actuarial judgment will still be needed to assess whether new methods are okay. And we're still going to need to be there to balance stakeholder needs, particularly regulators and governments. And the actuary of the future is going to have a detailed knowledge about what AI can do and what its limitations are. This AI tidal wave that's coming quickly could even become a tsunami if quantum computing becomes a reality and suddenly computers are many million times more powerful than they are today. So we've really got to react to what's coming our way. And the IAA has planned a number of things to try to get one step ahead of the change that's coming. And that change can be in new roles, new solutions, or completely new industries. And we need to be making sure that we as actuaries are grasping those opportunities. So at the IAA, we've developed a task force that's looking at how we can respond to AI. And that task force is looking at how we develop guidelines and principles for actuaries around professionalism and ethics. How do we educate the actuaries of the future? How do we use the new AI tools within the changing role of actuaries in our current work? How do we as actuaries, and we're uniquely placed here, we have expertise in modelling and data. How can we help regulators and policymakers set standards for the ethical use of AI? I believe that's a really interesting area for actuaries to get involved. And then innovation. What is it that we as actuaries can do with these new great powerful tools? So at the IAA, we're looking at all of these different areas and coming up with new tools and ideas that we're bringing the minds from all around the world to share what's going on. And we're really keen to involve as much as possible actuaries from India as well as from the rest of the world. So please do think about volunteering, and please do look out for what it is that we as an actuarial profession globally are looking to do to respond to AI. Because I don't think AI is going to replace us. I do think there's a bright future for actuaries with AI, but actually, if we're complacent, then actuaries with AI will potentially replace actuaries without AI. So it's up to all of us to grasp the opportunities that this new technology provides. And the IAA is there to help you to grasp those opportunities. So please do volunteer, please do help us as we look to the exciting future that I believe is there for our profession. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a great conference, and I'm sorry I can't be there. Greetings to Arun and all of my friends in India. I hope to see you all again soon. All the best. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks to Charles for putting that video together. And definitely, we are all the opportunists who will drink the water and the mocktail today. Our next session is the address by our guests of honor, Mr. Praveen Trivedi, Executive Director, IFSCA, as well as Mr. Dipesh Shah, Executive Director, IFSCA. Mr. Praveen Trivedi has about 3 decades of rich professional experience, wherein he has acted in various capacities, including as practicing advocate, teacher, legal advisor, regulator, supervisor, and administrator. He's a postgraduate in law and has also acquired postgraduate diploma in management of financial resources. He joined Securities and Exchange Board of India, and during his tenure of more than 22 years there, he handled a host of activities like regulation, supervision, etc. He rose to become the Chief General Manager and was Head of Enforcement Department before moving out of SEBI in June 2018. While in SEBI, he was also posted to the Ministry of Finance for about 3 years, and he handled commodities, derivatives, and various other financial sector legislative reforms commission. He played a prominent role in drafting of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, and he has recently completed PhD in the area of insolvency and bankruptcy laws. Before joining IFSCA in 2021, he was the Executive Director at Pensions Fund Regulatory and Development Authority, PFRDA, and since June 2018. Mr. Dipesh Shah, Executive Director, Development at IFSCA, has over 22 years of professional experience in international business, project development, corporate affairs, corporate law, and policy matters. His most prominent achievement includes setting up and operationalizing India's first smart city and IFSC, the International Financial Services Center. Before joining IFSCA in 2020, in his last 12 years tenure at the Gift City, the city made substantial progress in getting recognition as India's model smart city, starting India's first multi-services SEZ and the only approved IFSC center. He brought in the regulatory and business changes in the Gift City IFSC to bring in banks, international exchanges, inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister of India, and insurance as well as reinsurance companies for undertaking offshore transactions. Mr. Shah is a commerce graduate and is a chartered secretary from the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators UK, and has a postgraduate diploma in business management from Nirma University, with specialization in international business and finance. He has a doctorate in philosophy in management in International Financial Services Center. I welcome you both.
That was quite a long introduction, but thank you anyway. So before I start, thank you, good afternoon to all of you, and first of all, congratulations on behalf of Chairman IFSCA, on my behalf and on behalf of ISCA for this actuarial day today, and my compliments to your Chairman for organizing this event here. So thank you very much. Actually, today, as you have said in your address also, this is a day for celebration, and a lot of students are there, so they should not get bored by any lecture sort of thing. So I'm not going to give any lecture. I will let you enjoy the evening. I will just, in very brief, tell about myself. I am I'm reading, because this is a new organization. IFSCA is new regulator. Lot of activities we are handling. So one of the activities with me is also that I am head of the insurance department also, apart from other departments. So in insurance department, when I say insurance, then actuary has to be there, because for any insurance company, you cannot leave the actuary. And our regulations, which are very principle-based regulation and which are at par with any developed jurisdictions regulations, we have also allowed that there is no regulations or interference of a regulator on the products. So now I think every regulator is moving towards that direction. Earlier it was first get approval and then go for the products. Now we have only provided the principle-based regulations. You have to follow those XYZ principles, and within that, with your board's approval, you can launch the product and file the copy with us. So that makes your job more important. So I just want to, because I was just listening the previous lecture, in between I got little bit scared, because whenever we hear about this AI and all these things, so you feel, arey, kya hoga, kal kya hoga, kal kya hoga. But ultimately he ended in a very positive note, and you have also said we are all optimistic. The only thing is for any profession, because we are all professionals here, we have to keep ourselves updated. We cannot afford to just complete our degree and then think that now it is done, now I need not read, or I need not update myself. So that is the key. Whatever you do, because you may, some of you, because I was also a student at one point of time, I also used to think, father used to say, अरे ये कर लो उसके बाद आराम ही आराम है. आराम नहीं है, आराम कभी जिंदगी आप 12th कर लो, उसमें ये नंबर आ जाएगा तो ये हो जाएगा, आप नौकरी पा जाओगे तो आराम ही आराम. ऐसा नहीं है, आराम नहीं है. अमिताभ बच्चन कहते हैं जब तक जिंदगी है तब तक संघर्ष है. आई बिलीव इन दैट. तो आप ये तो मान लो आपने पैदा हुए हो तो आपको संघर्ष करना है. संघर्ष करना है, लेकिन संघर्ष पॉजिटिव वे में करना है, आपको अपनी ग्रोथ के लिए करना है. वो कहते हैं ना, बिना मरे हुए स्वर्ग नहीं मिलता. आई एम यूजिंग हिंदी ऑल्सो, सॉरी. सो इफ यू वांट टू गो टू हेवन यू हैव टू डाई फर्स्ट. So if you want heaven, then you have to make efforts for that. That is the key. So that is the only thing. Otherwise, as chairman has told you, and we are very much keen to welcome Actuarial Institute chapter here. I think you have already resolved in your board and they have approved. So we are looking forward your chapter, opening of your chapter in GIFT IFSC. And as per our discussions, you are already in talk with Bond University also. You are also, we have also discussed at length with our chairman also that you should start some certification courses, because this GIFT city is developing and this is a financial hub. It is going to be the international financial hub in any aspect, not only in insurance but other also. So banking, pension also we are going to introduce wherever you go, so that your risk assessment is the key for any business to grow, any financial business to grow. And then there cannot be a better person than actually to assess that and give the real feedback based on which the business can devise and develop their strategies. With this positive note, I will again congratulate and wish you all the best for your future endeavors and for your future and professional growth, and you enjoy the evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to GIFT City, and compliments for celebrating your Foundation Day here at the GIFT City. Compliments to the President IAI for visualizing that the future for many of you could be in GIFT City, and what a right place to bring them here to experience firsthand as to how these opportunities are unfolding in front of all of you. I was reading about your profession since I was told that I have to come and speak here. In my earlier days, I used to try and understand about this profession in detail, but I never got an opportunity to study what you've been all going through, because my mathematics was not good, and even today is not good. And the basic requirement for IAI is that your mathematics has to be very good, because you predict financial futures, you predict the future risk, you predict so many things which helps one to decide in advance as to what to do. Before I bring out some important elements of what the future may lie for you in GIFT City, let me ask all of you, how many of you are coming for the first time in GIFT City? So most of you are coming for the first time in GIFT City, which is also a good sign that the Institute's initiative of bringing all of you to a new location to understand what is unfolding is also been taken at the right time. Let me tell you, while it may not be a right time for a long probably address here because it's raining outside, and I'm sure few of you would have predicted that today it is going to rain. But today it is raining outside and you don't want to be inside the room because the atmosphere outside is better than inside. And it will be more enjoyable to roam around the GIFT City as you are coming here for the first time. But let me briefly touch upon 2-3 areas that probably will help you to understand GIFT City better and probably take up the opportunities that are unfolding in the GIFT City. Friends, GIFT City is India's first offshore center within onshore India. And when I say offshore, which means that under the foreign exchange law, this financial center is outside India. Now, this is a big change that the way India operates. India operates for many years under one regime, that you have a domestic zone where you have 4 regulators, Reserve Bank of India, the Securities Exchange Board of India, the pension regulator, and the Securities and Exchange Board of India. So we were used to, this is how I think many of us would have studied, and probably in our career, this was only 4 regulatory regulations which one would have gone through. But now India operates in 2 systems. One is for the domestic zone where you have all these 4 regulators, and India now has an international financial services center sitting within India as an offshore center with a separate unified regulator as an international financial services center authority. Now this is, as I said, is a big change, the way that we do domestic business and the way we do international business. And I'm prompted to ask many of you sitting in this room as to why India needed an offshore center. You could have still be in India and still be done international business. Why you need a separate offshore center? I'm sure this is your first visit, you may not like to answer right now, but let me answer that for you. You needed this because our capital account is not fully convertible. So you can't convert rupee into dollar freely. That's why we needed an offshore center within onshore India. Otherwise, what was happening is it was so easy from India to go to Dubai, to go to Mauritius, to go to Singapore and do India business freely. Now you can imagine with the country of size of 1.4 billion, if we have to go to the other financial centers to do India business, what type of message we are giving to the outside world? That you can't sitting in India do international business. For you have to do international business, please go out and do India business. Now that for the size of the country that we are in and the growth that we are anticipating over a period of time, I think the government of India really took a right step forward, that we should not be relying on the offshore centers to serve India. We should have our own offshore centers sitting within India and serve India and the global markets. That's how the International Financial Services Center in GIFT came into existence, and today you've seen the ecosystem as to how it is evolving. So what does an international financial center do? Must be the question in your mind, that if you have an offshore center here, what does it do? Does it help you as a student? Does it help you as a professional? Or does it help you in the profession in which you belong to? Friends, a financial center, as you know, and in your line in which you are, is closely connected with the financial world. So the financial center across the globe, including in GIFT City, touches various activities of financial services. So it includes banking, insurance, capital market, asset management, you have fintech firms, you have aircraft leasing, ship leasing, your exchanges, stock exchanges, your bullion exchange, and you have even universities operating within the IFFC zone under the different regimes. So you now have a financial center in India where you can do dollar business. So when I say dollar business, probably you will be surprised to hear that the only currency the financial center here in GIFT City can't operate is Indian rupee. So you can't do business in Indian rupee sitting in the GIFT International Financial Center, because that currency is not allowed to transact. And the reason for not allowing is you have an offshore center which is equivalent to a non-resident, and thereby you are serving in foreign currency, not in Indian rupees. If you allow Indian rupees, I am sure you can predict what can happen. Everybody sitting in the domestic India will shift into international India. Why? Because the international India has a lot of tax exemptions. So out of 10 years, there is no tax on the business profits that you earn. There is no GST on your transactions. So the reason for not allowing Indian rupee and rightly is the Indian rupee business is sitting in the domestic India. The international business was sitting outside India, and that is what the government is trying to bring back within Indian ecosystem rather than telling people to go into financial center outside. Friends, my last point to update all of you is the financial center today, as it stands, has more than 700 firms registered. And these 700 firms probably are your future, and many more joining are probably for you also a future employer, or probably a future areas of work or business that you may like to get involved. So I'll encourage all of you to have a closer look at what these 700 plus firms are doing within the GIFT City ecosystem. If IAI can tie up with some of the institutions here, and if some of you can come in the internship here, I think it will be a good idea to have the collaboration that you come here for a few weeks, understand as to what they are doing, and see the opportunity of working within the ecosystem in the IFFC here. As we are expanding into several areas, we are at least seeing 30 to 40 new firms coming in the financial center every month. And some complex new areas like aircraft leasing, ship leasing is also got operationalized. And they all need talent, friends. Today, if I keep interacting with several firms, and the one point which comes to us is the availability of talent. And every now and then the people question that, look, we can set up this, but would we get the talent? I'm sure the MOU which we have with the IAI and the areas that your institute is taking the lead for, we will have your talent also available within the ecosystem for the firms to probably see as to how you can contribute. But my suggestion to all of you, as you come all the way, you should have a closer look at probably a small tour of GIFT City. Try and see that in future, if you can figure out the institutions which are licensed here by the IFFC authority, can you get into some work arrangements, some internship programs, and then see if you can build career in this financial center, because the talent that you possess or the areas that you are working is always going to be in demand. It is only a matter of time as to how you connect this talent with the right institution. And friends, in the GIFT City, we've been seeing witness to some large players like Bank of America, for example, has 2,400 employees in the IFFC doing all the offshore work. We have players like Wipro, which was just announced to set up the TechFin firm here with more than 500 people coming in. And we have large banks from several parts of the world all set up here. Several insurance companies, almost 29 now in the ecosystem licensed, and many more joining, including Allianz from France and several other foreign and Indian insurance firms operating in the IFFC zone. In fact, yesterday, I think one of the insurance firms, HDFC Life Re, introduced 2 new products for the student education and insurance products within the IFFC zone. And that also marks that new products are getting introduced. And I'm sure it will need expertise from the people sitting in this room. We are very confident that the financial center will throw upon huge opportunity, and I will request your president and the executive director and the team to have this type of more programs here, maybe a certification program, as my colleague Praveen Trivedi was mentioning, that some certification program on an IFFC could be a good connect for you to understand how the IFFC operates, and probably gain this advantage of knowing the opportunities in the IFFC and start working in the areas that the IFFC is throwing opportunities for. As I said, I don't want to take longer time because the opportunity cost outside is better than inside. I am glad that we could speak to all of you and be with this on your foundation day. This is my first interaction with the Institute of Actuaries students and the professionals, and I hope that this is just the beginning. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.
May I now request Mr. Arunachalam to share a small token of our appreciation with Mr. Dipesh and Mr. Praveen, please. Thank you again for the...
Just one moment, when Praveen ji and Dipesh ji is here, I thought I'll announce it a bit later during the announcement of the Bond University MOU. We are very glad and happy to announce that we would be having an international chapter at Gift City Gandhinagar. Our council have given an in-principle approval for the same. We are working out the details, and we would definitely be operating on the lines that they have envisaged, including certificate programs that would operate out of here. So thank you, sir, for the support and the guidance. We look forward to having a long engagement and support as usual. Thank you, sir.
Thank you again, both of you, for your warm welcome to the actuarial community and for the initiatives and changes to the insurance regulations that you just discussed. Actually, on my way here, I spotted some residential projects, and I'll be keen to explore those more, given the bright future that the Gift City holds for us. I'm in such, I apologize for long introductions, but I'm in such august company that introductions are long. Your experience is so wide and deep. Just proud to be here, even to introduce you all. Another long introduction alert. Our next session is from our keynote speaker, Professor Stephen Stern. He's a custodian of the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method and a professor of data science at Bond University. Stephen is actually in the hotel. Unfortunately, he fell ill after he flew down from Australia. However, we are doing this session virtually now. While we set up, I can continue to introduce him. Stephen is the professor of data science at Bond University since the start of 2017. Previously, he held an Australian Bureau of Statistics chair at Queensland University of Technology from 2013 to 2016. And prior to that, was on the faculty of Australian National University for 2 decades. He received his bachelor's degree in mathematics, master's degree in applied statistics, and PhD in mathematical statistics, all from Stanford University. He is an award-winning teacher receiving Centennial Teaching Assistance Award from Stanford University, the Vice Chancellor's Award for Teaching Excellence from ANU in 2002, the Bond Business Students Association Award for Excellence in Teaching as well. In addition, he is a sought-after data analyst and consultant, having undertaken work for numerous government departments and industry bodies. His research interests cover a full range of data analytics and statistical methodologies. But he's probably best known for his work in sports statistics, including developing both team and player ranking methods, and of course, as the co-creator and official custodian since 2014 of the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method, the official approach to handling interruptions in international and most high-profile domestic limited over cricket matches. Over to you, Professor Stern.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? I just wanted to start by saying a huge thank you for inviting me to come, and also to apologize profusely for the fact that I could not be there in person with you. But I am feeling much better now, so hopefully it was just a passing thing. So thank you very much for that introduction. Whenever I get introduced, I sit and think a little bit about my career and all of the different things that I have done. But there are 2 things that I keep coming back to in my career. The first of them, obviously, is cricket. And unfortunately, I will not be talking about cricket today. If you're interested, I will be talking about cricket tomorrow, so we can discuss there. And the other thing is building actuarial education programs. And it's interesting to me because I am not a cricketer. I've never actually played the sport. And I'm also not an actuary. I am a mathematician. So it's one of those strange things that one gets put into a particular category. But what I want to talk to you about today is a little bit about how I see, I see the landscape of teaching actuarial programs in the modern era. And I think that one of the things that we have gotten away from, which we need to return to, is thinking about our subject as a set of ideas and concepts, not just a set of algorithms and applications. And I see that in my work with my students all the time, that they are mostly trying to figure out how to memorize certain approaches to things without spending any time thinking about what that approach is actually saying or doing. And I think that is a problem. And it's a particular problem, and as I will talk about mostly today, it's a particular problem in the new landscape that we have of artificial intelligence and generative AI and so forth. Right, so that's what I want to talk a little bit about. Just as a quick little start, the reason that I actually got into actuarial science as an educator is, as I say there, because I believe that it's probably the most broad educational structure that you can have. As you can see there, all of those different areas are focused on. The last one, modern data science, being a relatively recent addition. And so you can get an amazing amount of education in an amazing amount of different disciplines if you study an actuarial degree. Indeed, you don't even need to end up becoming an actuary as your profession, because the skill set that you will develop is broadly applicable in any quantitative business area. So one of the things, though, that I think is crucial, and all of the programs that I have put up or created center around, as it says there, specialist educators. I don't like the idea of teaching accounting for actuaries and economics for actuaries. Those are not a sensible approach to that education, in my view, because they leave out, as I said, the conceptual idea of, well, what is accounting? What is economics? And we need to see those ideas from specialist educators in each of those areas. Right? And so, of course, that leads directly to my own area of expertise, which is mathematics. Right? So one of the things that I think is slowly and certainly not nearly as fast as it should happening is that we are starting to get rid of outdated parts of our curriculum. Right? There are pieces of teaching things like annuity calculations or assurance calculations, which no longer need to be dealt with. Things like commutation functions, things which made an actuary's life easier in the days when there were only tables to work with, are really not necessary now. And they only encourage, in my opinion, this notion of focusing on procedure as opposed to concept. Right? And so I think that is one of the things that people are, I think, a little worried about with the modern data analytics, the modern machine learning aspects, is that they'll lose control of these aspects of student learning. In my opinion, that's actually completely the opposite, that we'll get more control over those things. Right? So as I said, teaching mathematics should be about problem solving, not about puzzle solving. Right? Now, puzzle solving is certainly a useful skill, and most students start their mathematics education in that way, but it is not a useful way to continue seeing how mathematical thinking works. Right? And as I said, so what I want to do is talk a little bit about how modern analytics has changed the landscape in ways that we can teach people. So I want to start by focusing on this notion of problem solving, right? Where instead of having students ask, what the formula is. We want them to ask what the idea is, right? And we want them to focus on the whys instead of the hows, right? And one of the reasons that we can do that is that the hows are now no longer a problem for us to have to memorize, right? The machine will do those aspects of all of our calculations for us, right? As long as we pay close attention to them and don't let them run away with us. All right, so I want to show you some a little bit of fun things about the notion of visualization, because in my opinion, drawing proper graphics is absolutely the most crucial component of any data analytics endeavor. And so here is one of my all-time favorite. It's a little bit gruesome, so I apologize for that, but it has to do with the shooting deaths in the United States between 1994 and 2003. Now, most people don't realize, partly because of the way that the U.S. focuses on guns, is that in 1994, President Clinton actually outlawed, right, automatic weapons, which was an amazing thing for him to be able to get to do. There was obviously a lot of pushback. Unfortunately, in order for him to get that concession, he had to agree to a 10-year window, whereby they would look at whether this ban of assault weapons had any effect. So here is the graph of the deaths across that 10-year window. And apart from one notable spike, I think you can see, and this is certainly what many of the proponents of the gun lobby would focus on, is that there wasn't much of a change. And many legislators took this to be an indication that there was no need for these things. All right, but let's have a look at this in a slightly more appropriate context, right? We focused here on a very narrow window. I'm going to shrink that down, and I'm going to add to both sides of it the plot associated with the rest of the gun lobby. All right, so I think we can see that if we are not careful, we will create a context which is completely disingenuous and not at all a useful way of constructing things, right? So we need to be careful about how we put our data into visualizations. So because of that, I think it's worth spending a little time thinking about what are the human eyes good at and what are they bad at, right? There is a great deal of evolution evidence to discuss what the human eye can do and what it can't do. And one of the things that it is not very good at is assessing deviations at an angle. So I'm going to draw you two pictures here. So there we go. And ask you to ponder, where did that extra square come from? How did this, all we've done there is we've rearranged the orange, blue, yellow, and green pieces into apparent triangles, and yet one of the views has an extra square. How does this happen? And it's because your eyes are just not very good at angles. Let me show you a little something. Here is the left-hand picture, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it so that the top of the orange triangle is along one of the flat lines. So there I go, I'm rotating that up. And now you can immediately see, because your eyes are much better at dealing with things on the horizontal, that this wasn't a triangle. Right? There was a small little extra bit in the blue piece, right? And so in the plot on the left, right, the apparent hypotenuse is actually bowed inward, whereas in the graph on the right, it's bowed outward, just enough to add an extra square's worth of area. Right? So your eyes are simply not a good tool to trust in many circumstances, which is why we try and come up with techniques when we are assessing data analytics, which try and focus more on what our eyes are good at. All right, so as I said, let me just talk then again briefly about this move to modern technology. As I said, probably the single biggest change in actuarial science education occurred some years ago now when Excel became a an easily accessible program and people figured out how to use it. So we just don't need to do any of the calculations that we used to be taught in some of our basic financial math courses. Similarly, calculators which will do derivatives and integrals incredibly fast and incredibly accurately, and so we don't need to worry about these. And some people have, I think, taken this to be a threat to actual education. In other words, we're going to lose the ability of our students to do all of this mathematics because they'll just ask a program. I actually think that that's completely the wrong approach or the wrong viewpoint, because what these things actually do is they allow us, right, to take a situation and remove all of the boring and tedious excuse me, the boring and tedious bits, and allow us to focus our attention on the ideas. As it says there, I like to think of these new AI, Chat GPT and all sorts. They are all just tools, and if we use them correctly, we will enhance our ability to understand things, not lose our ability to reason. All right, so let me show you one of my favorite examples of how ChatGPT is not something which deals well with judgment or concept. So here I go. So some of you may be familiar with the concept of mathematical induction, right? The idea is that if we have a sequence of statements and we can show that the first one is true, and then we can show that assuming the nth one is true allows us to prove that the n plus first is true, means that all of the statements are true. Right? So it's a sort of a mathematical version of dominoes falling. You line up all your dominoes, and if you can push the first domino and all the dominoes, right, hit the domino in front of them, well, then all the dominoes are going to fall, which is a pretty amazing sort of thing. All right, so here's something I want to demonstrate with this. Right? I'm going to show you that all cows are the same color, which seems a rather remarkable statement. All right, so let's try this. Right? We'll set the SK to be any group of K cows has a single color. Right? Clearly, if there's only one cow in the group, those cows all have the same color. Right? So the first one works. All right, so now let's assume, and this is the crucial bit, right? We're going to assume that if I have n cows, that they're all the same color. All right? That's an assumption of the mathematical induction procedure. All right? So let's have a look. Here is now a group of n plus 1 cows. All right? I'm deeply, deeply impressed with my ability to draw cows on the screen for you. All right? So here's the idea of the reasoning. It says, all right, if I have n plus 1 cows, I'm going to remove 1. That means that the leftover group is n. And n cows all have the same color, so I'm going to give them all the same color. All right? Now, let's take another cow out. All right? And put the original cow back in. Well, that new group is again a group of n cows because it had n, it lost 1, but it gained 1. So it also has to be a group with all of the same colors. All right? So there we go. If we assume that a group of n cows has to have all the same color. We were able to prove that a group of n+1 cows had to have the same color, so all cows have the same color. Now, that's clearly ridiculous, yes? So here is the issue. Can we see the flaw? And this is what I mean by understanding the ideas of mathematical thinking rather than just the procedures, right? Carrying out that procedure is a relatively straightforward exercise, but understanding why it does or doesn't work is deeply different than just doing mathematical calculation. It's mathematical thinking, right? All right, while you ponder what the issue is, let me ask ChatGPT. Right? That's our favorite thing. So I asked ChatGPT if it was familiar with mathematical induction, and it said yes, it knew all about mathematical induction. And so I went through this explanation I just went through with you about all cows being the same color, right? And asked it if it agreed with me. And here is its general response. Of course, it said, no, you can't prove that they're all the same color, but it gave a reason for that, which was fundamentally wrong. Right? Because it's not thinking about whys, it's just trying to pick out what the next word in the sentence is likely to be. Right? So it doesn't deal well with reasoning. So I pointed out to it, no, your counterexample that you've used is not valid. It violates the assumption of the induction proof. And so ChatGPT, in its obsequious way, right, says, yes, you're right. However, there's still a problem, and it gives me, again, a completely silly counterexample, which doesn't follow the rules of induction. Right? So it just isn't capable of doing this. Right? In particular, I went and told it in detail now why its counterexamples didn't make sense. And look what it told me. It said, my reasoning is intricate, but it ultimately relies on an assumption that cannot be guaranteed, which is true, but the assumption is part of the proof. Right? The proof is based on making that assumption. And once you've made it, you can then, if you can then use it to show something else, then that's what the induction proof is. All right? So, just as an interesting aside, I asked ChatGPT again, because I wanted to restructure these things and make the formatting a little better. And when I asked it again, it said that my proof was actually sound, even though it's clearly silly, right? And at the very end, it said, here, and this is something that I think is profoundly important to realize. It says, right, your proof may indeed be logically valid within its own context, but it does not accurately represent reality. In reality, not all cows are the same color. Right? So the statement, all the cows are the same color, is false. So basically it said, right, you can do all the math you want, but clearly your math is wrong. Well, that's an interesting approach to this problem. All right, so let me just say that that is one of the things that I think is crucial in understanding where ChatGPT and large language models and other forms of artificial intelligence move in our circles. We need to be able to use the tools that they represent while recognizing that they are not actual thinkers. And so care needs to be taken, right? By the way, I asked the more recent version of ChatGPT and it found the flaw, right? And so forth. By the way, if you're interested in where the flaw is, it is because when n is 2 and I pull one cow out and then pull another cow out, there's no cows left to overlap, and therefore I can't guarantee that there is a common color. Right? So it's a very subtle error in logic, and ChatGPT is just not getting it, but that's okay. We want ChatGPT to do the grunt work for us, but not do the thinking. So let me just end by saying some of the things that I believe, right? Artificial intelligence, in my opinion, is neither. It's not artificial and it's not intelligent, right? It's just a sequence of algorithms that often have highly impressive accuracy. Indeed, more to the point, the term machine learning, right? The first word, machine, is an adjective. not a noun, right? It's not that the machine is learning something. We are learning from the machine. And that is crucial to understand the way that the modern data analytics perspective needs to be incorporated into educational programs of all mathematically quantitative degree structures. Right? So as I said, if we remember this and we don't give over our agency to the algorithms, then we can get real benefit from these modern analytics, and we can focus on training and concepts instead of just focusing on process. So again, please accept my apology for not being able to be with you. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm more than happy to take any questions you might have, or we can go for whatever the next piece of the puzzle is. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the session, Stephen. I hope you feel better soon. For our next session is the MOU signing between Bond University and the Institute of Actuaries of India, for which I'd like to invite Tushar as well as Cheryl. You already know Tushar, and Cheryl, for all of your reference, serves as the Vice President of Future Students at Bond University, where she brings visionary leadership to enhance the university's global standing and drive strategic growth. In her role, Cheryl excels in orchestrating international partnerships such as this one, steering student recruitment, and shaping universities' brand and marketing strategies. With over 20 years of distinguished experience in higher education, Cheryl is renowned for her strategic acumen and leadership in international education. Her career spans several senior roles across Australian institutions, where she has been instrumental in developing international markets and fostering strategic alliances. Cheryl's leadership is grounded in a robust academic background, including a Bachelor of Mass Communication from Queensland University of Technology and postgraduate qualifications in executive leadership from the University of Queensland. She is also a graduate of the Australian Institute of Company Directors. Her commitment to excellence is further demonstrated through her role as a board member of the Study Gold Coast and as a chair of the as chair of the Deputy Vice Chancellor International Committee at Universities Australia. I welcome you both. This MOU is a historic MOU signing with an international university from IAI. It's got what we will see is mutually mapped curriculum with bilateral accreditations. We will also see opportunities for exchange programs and research collaborations through this signing today. There's also mutual recognitions pathway up ahead, both for Bond University students as well as for the Institute of Actuaries of India. As well as we are looking at opportunities for our Olympiads for school with their experience of nationwide assessments in Australia. Thank you. Welcome both. one of the last sessions of the day, What Women Want, Actuarial Editions. This is a panel discussion, and on this panel we have 4 august women who are going to be joining me on stage and answering my ruthless questions. I have Astha Gulati, an associate of the Institute of Actuaries of India, who began her actuarial career in Towers Watson and HDFC Life. She's a commerce graduate from Lady Shri Ram College, and she transitioned in 2014 to follow her passion for movement, dance, fitness, and spirituality full-time. As a director of Dhuri and Connect with Ru, Astha runs 2 centers in Bangalore, teaching contemporary movement, Kathak fusion, tribal fusion styles, and offering wellness and healing programs. A certified hypnotherapist and movement healer, she has curated over 30 retreats, reached more than 2,000 students, and trained 30+ teachers and entrepreneurs. Her international performances and travels across 10+ countries showcase her dedication to spreading the art of movement and healing. Our next panelist, Nishtha Ranjan. She is a professor at the Birla Institute of Management Technology, Greater Noida. With over 12 years in actuarial science, her career spans academia as well as the industry, including roles at Mercer Consulting, where she focused on actuarial valuations. She holds an MBA in finance, a BSc in statistics, and has cleared CD series of actuarial exams. She is currently pursuing a PhD in management. Nishtha has successfully created internship opportunities and real-world projects for students through collaborations with actuarial firms. She's a member of the Institutional Quality Assurance Cell at BIMTech and contributed to the NAAC accreditation process. Recognized for her research and contributions, she has been awarded for her work and technology-powered consumer behavior and Canadian pensions valuations. She's actively involved in enhancing academic, industry, collaboration, and community support. The third panelist, Subha Neelakanthan. She's the founder of iActuary Consulting and Services, an energetic and self-driven actuary with over 25 years of extensive experience in product development, actuarial pricing, and valuation, experience analysis, and reinsurance client management within the insurance industry in India. She was heading the life and health business at Score SE in her last corporate role. She is the founder of iActuary Consulting and Services, a consulting firm that offers product, technical, and strategic services to life and general insurance companies in India and Nepal. The firm also has a dedicated vertical for employee benefits, serving over 100 clients. A mother of 2 college-going daughters, she is passionate about fitness and is committed to mentoring and empowering women in the workforce. She is an exam reviewer for IAI for many years. Our 4th panelist today is Sinjini Sengupta. She's the founder of Lighthouse. Sinjini is an alumnus of the Indian Statistical Institute and an erstwhile actuarial leader turned international keynote speaker, storytelling coach, and leadership development faculty, who is transforming leaders and corporate teams with the power of storytelling. She is a 4 times TEDx speaker and an award-winning author and screenplay writer, a columnist, and a distinguished Toastmaster. She founded Lighthouse to serve her mission to bring hearts to work using the power of business and leadership storytelling. She specializes in leadership transformation, women leadership development, and data business storytelling. She teaches senior leaders at major global organizations, and she has been a guest lecturer on business and leadership storytelling at various esteemed organizations as well. Her passion for storytelling stems from her journey from numbers to narratives, as she left an elaborate career over a decade as an actuary to embark on a path of personal and professional growth. Along the way, she went to Vipassana 8 times. She wrote a book on womanhood, Elixir, and this book was adapted for screen and screened at the 69th Cannes Film Festival. What you see here is a theme of female actuarial leaders or entrepreneurs, or female actuarial professionals turned leaders or entrepreneurs. I welcome you all. I hope you will enjoy my grilling.
While the ladies settle in and catch a breath for an engaging panel discussion, the Institute of Actuaries of India is indeed privileged to have Professor Vimal Mishra in our midst. I mean, this is as good as it gets. He's a distinguished academician. He's been one all his life, with an immense amount of experience, both at the national level as well as at the international level. And we had the good privilege of having known him for some time. We were here in Gandhinagar for a climate risk seminar. Of course, he couldn't make it at that point in time, but we made sure that we remain connected with him. And Shri Mishra and IIT Gandhinagar, they were graceful enough in hosting us for an informal chat today, and it was very interesting. There's something that's likely to follow soon. Could I now request Shri Arunachalam, President, Institute of Actuaries of India, to kindly felicitate Professor Vimal Mishra, please.
I'm really excited about this session, discussing with these fabulous women. Only a glass of wine is missing, but it shall come after we have left the territory, isn't it? At the outset, let me say, though, that the views presented here are our personal and spontaneous views, and not those of our profession or employers or the entities that these women own and run. We may at times not be politically correct, and we are already sorry in advance for it. And the word sorry we will probably discuss as we go through the panel. We wouldn't intentionally hurt anybody's sentiments, but if that happens, we are sorry again. Spoiler alert, we are not resolving the cliched, what do women want question. It's just a bunch of us having a chat. At the outset, I think, what I want to understand from each one of you is your story. The intersection of being a woman, actuarial, leader, or entrepreneur. Really keen to hear from all of you, hopefully in turn, about that, please. I'll start with you, Subha. You can, maybe we can just sit and chat. Okay, yeah.
Firstly, thank you so much, IAI, for giving me this opportunity to speak about my journey with these lovely ladies here and with bright minds who are listening in. So what I just plan to do in the next few minutes is to weave this sort of journey in three important aspects. Like Sana just mentioned, women, more importantly as a mother, an actuary, and an entrepreneur. I'll talk about my early days as an actuary and then progressing into the entrepreneurship. The woman and the mother naturally follows. So I started my journey, quite way back when the word actuary was literally unheard of. Every meeting that I would go, social meeting I would go, nobody would have heard what an actuary does. So it is from those days, there were no actuarial jobs other than the LIC because the sector was not liberalized. So I have to give credit to my father here who encouraged me not only to venture into an unknown path, but also send me abroad to London to pursue a course which seemingly at that time had no future if I come back. So coming from a middle class family, I took up a loan. It was an expensive education and went on to do my actuarial science course. I had done my double masters by then. So as life would take its turn, parents had enough of my education and said, now it's time for you to get married. So here I was, having done an education in actuarial science, having to come back to India. I would have, if left on my own, wanted to pursue perhaps some internships, work before I get settled. But usually, these things, life does take its own course. So I was thrusted upon to get married. However, I was very lucky to have a very supportive husband who encouraged me to continue with the same passion and clear my exams. So I started my actuarial journey, one which was filled with distractions, doubts, apprehensions. To add to that, when I returned back, like I said, there were no other jobs, and the insurance liberalization of the sector got postponed. So there was literally no job. So after relentless pursuit, my first job was at Watson Wyatt. From then on, there was no looking back, but I started taking actuarial exams, and let me share with the students here that I took 10 long years to qualify. It was full of ups and downs, more downs than ups. I have, taken my own sweet time. I have taken exams at every possible event in my life. On my first wedding anniversary, just 2 days before my brother-in-law's wedding, I even took an exam when I was 8 months pregnant. I have a funny story here. In fact, I was 8 months pregnant, and the exams at that time used to be at Xavier's, which is a very popular college in Mumbai. And you can imagine a bunch full of young kids, and there I was, an 8 months pregnant lady writing an exam. The invigilator, felt so uncomfortable. He offered me his seat and said, do you want to sit comfortably? So that was the journey in terms of taking exams and relentlessly taking exams over 10 years. Anyways, what it taught me at that time was, I took so many exams, retook them so many times, that it was to never give up. It was the grit and the determination of not giving up. Actuarial exams do take time, and I think the students need to realize that and pursue and go on with a career. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is just that quiet voice at the end of the day which basically says, I will try again tomorrow. Moving to the next part of my journey, I fast forwarded to 22 years, and I was now heading the business for SCOR, which is a life and health reinsurer. I decided to leave a very well-paying jobs with perks and a fabulous team recognition. So what did I do when I decided to leave? I decided to first make a list. I made a list of things of why I want to quit. And I think I would, if there are any senior actuaries looking at this and thinking about, I would definitely encourage them to make this list, because there will be so many times of self-doubt, and that's when you go back to that list and you see the reasons of why you quit. For me, amongst the 12 reasons, 2 were on the top. The first one was I definitely was quite bored of having done something for almost 12 years. I wasn't learning anything new. And the second one was I wanted to be home with my girls, who were then in their teenage. Mind you, they didn't want me around. It was me who wanted to be around them. So that's the journey of started the journey of my entrepreneurship. So in the last 4 years, when I reflect back, I find that I have done a variety of work, which was very challenging, but at the same time, very satisfying. And for the second reason, I would say it's the best decision to give time to my girls. I feel some of the most favorite things in life do not cost money. Most precious resources is time, and time doesn't wait for anyone. Lastly, I just want to speak briefly. I know I'm taking a bit of a time. I'll just speak quickly about my journey as a woman. What does it mean to be in the corporate world? It is a very, very hard balancing act. And I will quote Indra Nooyi here, who says that women can't have it all. Our biological clock and our career clock are in total conflict. So what do? Well, we make most of it and we stop regretting what we couldn't do. My story would be incomplete if I didn't add that I have been extremely lucky to have the support of men around me who have not only been encouraging, but also pushing me. My father for dreaming the impossible, my husband for being the biggest cheerleader for me, and times when I have been so down to sort of push me, his sacrifices can't be undermined. And my bosses, and I think that's definitely something that I would like to encourage. You know, they gave me wings to fly and supported me when I needed the most, and I think that's critical for women in job. So I will end my speech here with just a quick quote by my favorite, Steve Jobs, and I say this especially to young women. Your time is limited, so don't waste living anyone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown your inner voice. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. Thank you so much.
Beautifully said. What a story. Thank you. Asta, would you like to go next?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Asta. Well, how I stepped into the world of actuaries was completely by accident. So you're going to hear a lot of like funny things that happened. I was in Lady Shri Ram College. I was pursuing BCom honors, and sure enough, in our final year, we had recruitment happening, and Watson Wyatt was one of the companies that came in. I think it was like just the second company that came in. I was like, okay, cool, let's try, and had no idea what I was getting into. No idea, because even back then, I think it was one of those things that, oh, what is actuary? And even when I got into it, I remember all my friends saying, oh, you're actually an actuary. Like, it used to be like a joke, just one of those things. They couldn't pronounce actuarial, it would just be actuarian, and you just have to constantly keep clarifying what it is and things like that. So anyway, and so in my final year of Lady Shri Ram College, I got recruited into Watson Wyatt. I still remember that interview, and the technical round was good. I managed somehow, and I remember the HR round, and they were like, do you know what actuarial science is? I said, not really, not too much. Like, have you read anything about it? I was like, I just heard from a lot of people that it pays well. So, and later I got to know that the person who was sitting at the HR, I think it was Alex and someone else, he said that it was your honesty that actually helped us or make that decision, and that's how my journey started. And I still remember my first day in office. The appointed actuary sat us down and like, you're all toppers from the colleges that we have selected you. You're from Sri Ram College of Commerce, you're from LSR, you're from St. Stephen's, and now begins your journey of failing. And we were all just looking at each other, we're like, what? And because yes, I mean, it is, and we all understood it over the years that it's a hard profession to be in, and you're working and you're studying, and it was I think one of the craziest times, because when you didn't think you could do something, we still did it. And that is what I think those 6.5 to 7 years of my corporate life, I went from Watson Wyatt, which is now Taz Watson, to HDFC Life in Mumbai, and that's how my actual journey was. And sure enough, now that all of you know that I'm completely on the other end of the spectrum, even while I was working, I think I was one of those few people who would not be everyone's favorite, because I would leave sharp at 6:15 p.m. because I had a dance class to go to at 6:45, where I was rehearsing and I was training, and it was always a part of my life. My day used to start at 5:30 a.m. back then. I used to have classes before my work. I would do my work, and then I would go again for my training. And after I think about 6.5 years of doing that, I finally decided to take a leap and relying on my intuition and instinct, like Subha just said. I did not really make a pros and cons list. It was a very instinctual decision where someone offered for me to come start a center in Bangalore, which would be an art space, it would be a dance and wellness space, and I was also a healer back then, by then, sorry. I was a hypnotherapist, I was a chakra healer, and I remember that inner voice within me saying, okay, I don't have anything to lose at the moment. I think I can give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, I'll come back and I will start again. It's okay, like, you know, and that's just literally my thought with which I decided to move and take up my passion as a full-time profession. And touch wood, so far hasn't been a turning point since then. And since then, I have been heading the center for about almost 10 years now. It's a space which is filled with a lot of oneness, a lot of inclusivity, a lot of acceptance, a lot of discovering yourself and rediscovering yourself through the body, through the mind, through our consciousness. And that's been my calling. And like Subha said, I was very fortunate to have been supported by my family and my parents, especially my mom, who would always be like, if you have your heart and soul in it, you're going to make it happen. So just do it. I think that's what also made the leap easier. I remember my father being a little apprehensive and making me sign this little thing saying that you will still continue clearing your actuarial papers even after you, like, you know, leave it. I was like, yeah, okay, I will do it. I did. I mean, I did not do it, but yeah. So it was like a negotiation a little bit with him, but I think there was an innate faith that I loved what I was doing, and I loved my passion as well. And it was just one of those choices that I made, and it has taken me to where I am today. With a lot of support, and yes, so I think that's my life so far.
That's
and
all.
here
That's
I am.
all. Sinjini.
As I was listening to my two co-panelists, I am reminded of a line which I would perhaps repeat before I start with my own story. And the line goes like, to be one woman is to be every woman. Both their stories are our stories, all of our stories, right? And especially the fact that today is not 8th of March, and yet we get to sit on this table and talk about our real stories. Not the glamorous ones, but the ones below the shade of the lamp. And I thank IAI to hold this space for us when there was no mandate, when there was no celebration outside. So I believe that these are the platforms that make a difference. Thank you. Okay, so now I start with a disclosure. I was born stupid, which means that perhaps like some of you, I too was fed with this great Indian myth. Study hard, and the rest of your life is going to be a cakewalk. How many of you have heard that ever? Yeah? So that's how I'm an actuary. Long story short. Again, same as Astha. I was at the Indian Statistical Institute, fag end of our second year, when ICICI Prudential came to recruit and picked a few of us and liked us and asked, would you write exams? And we knew that you have to say yes when somebody asks a question at the interview. So we said yes, and there we were. So yes, a decade plus, 11, 12 years in actuaries, many months and many days of, again, Shubha, borrowing the theme of being a woman from you, rocking my little daughter on my stretched feet, covered not with her blanket, but with my study material. So that's a woman for you. And we cannot separate being a woman from being an actuary or being a leader. Being a woman is, of course, our lived reality. How I became an actuary, how I went from one step to another in the career it all goes through a straight linear path until some point in time. And as you know those PowerPoint presentations that the pre-placement talks at the campus, if anybody would remember, when people would come in and say, we are an equal opportunity company. And we would all say, yes, that's how the world should be, equal opportunity company. Only to later realize that our lived reality is different, and it's not equality, it's equity, because the lived reality is different, the motivations are different, the moral priorities are different. So over the years then, you stop taking offense when somebody says female leader, because you understand the nuances of being a leader in the world which has been masculine for generations, for history. Nobody, no one man or woman is to be blamed, but the reality is such that the lived experience is different. There are more weights to carry on our feet as we walk every step. So that has been being a woman in this career. But from there comes another story. And this goes back long into my childhood once more. So when I was in school, every time the report card would come out, those pale blue color report cards with a plastic flap on it, and the parents would be called for a parent-teachers meeting. And all my teachers, the geography teacher or the physics teacher, they would all have the same comment for me. All right, can do better, talks too much. Yeah, anybody else talks too much? So I thought that was a vice. I thought I had to fix it. I tried hard to fix it. And being an actuary is being very introverted. So you are really limited on your scope for social interactions and introductions and business leadership, stakeholder management, because you are a subject matter expert to begin with, by definition, which limits your choices, which limits your... So instead of playing to your personal individual strength, there is a mandate as to how to be a good actuary. But at the same time, there is also a beautiful quote, which unfortunately I learned much later on, which says that an actuary who is only an actuary is not a good actuary. An actuary who is just an actuary is not a good actuary. And over time, through a burnout, through my own journey, trying to find myself, working with my strengths eventually, I started to be more than an actuary in my own way. I realized that I used to love to talk, and I still love to talk, I love to write, and I moved from numbers to narratives, as Sana also mentioned in her introduction. So what I also realized is, I don't have to be a victim of circumstances just because I have studied at ISI, I have been an actuary, I have passed all those exams, I hold this. Of course, there was a huge, huge risk involved. I was so used to the cocoon and the comfort and the security and those digits hitting my mobile phone SMS at the end of the month, and it was a very, very risky game. But I also realized that there's more I want to do with this one life that I have got, which brought me into storytelling. I realized a lot of our stuff is really based on, the stories I'm telling myself when I look into the mirror. Really good, bad, ugly. And then a lot of the stories that I tell other people, through words, through gestures, through actions, through silences. And then stories that other people tell about me when I'm not in the room. And we are not talking enough about these interactions, this dynamics, this connection, this communication, this leadership, this impact, this influence. So this is where my mission slowly crystallized, which is to bring hearts to work. Because as a woman, I have had many lunches alone. I've gone to the cafeteria alone, and everybody else is talking stock prices or cricket matches while I'm calling up my home to ask if my baby has pooped. And I felt very alone, and I wanted to really bring hearts to work, not just for women, but for everybody. And that is where Lighthouse was born, where I teach storytelling to leaders, founders, teach data storytelling, teach connection, humanity. And that's how I'm an entrepreneur. Thank you so much for giving us this platform to listen to our stories, because, to repeat, one woman's story is every woman's story. Thank you.
Nishtha. Okay. Thank you. So, like all of the three co-panelists have taken out their journey very, very nicely and wisely spoken. However, I am not an entrepreneur. I train entrepreneur. So that's how the difference is. So my journey started when I was in class 6th and 7th, when my sister told me about actuarial science. At that time, it was, again, a very niche profession. Nobody knew about it. So my parents were also like, what is it? What is it all about? But since my sister said, so they were like, okay, okay, go and pursue. And the very first eligibility condition in those days was to secure more than 90% marks in your mathematics in your class 10th and 12th. So just with very small aims, I started clearing the mathematics exam, and I got into Sri Venkateshwara College, Delhi University, pursuing maths honors, simultaneously giving the exams, and then got into the placement offer with Mercer. But somehow in Mercer, I was giving again the exams, actual papers, as well as doing the job. But somehow I was not satisfied. Or maybe you can say, in my blood, I'm having academics, because my mother was a teacher, my grandfather was the principal. So maybe because of that, I got this news that MIT University gives the platform for the students to for the actuarial science program, UG and PG. So I thought to apply it. Let's see if I can go and teach there. I got the opportunity, and that's how I happened to be training the entrepreneurs. So now now this journey was very, very exciting, because since you all are students and you are, you are so much with enthusiasm, you bring out some new techniques, new posters, everything was new. And this was something I really like. Because when we are doing the corporate work, this is just my perspective, that I feel that it is a bit monotonous. However, when we are in academics, these young generation make me feel alive. So I used to really like this, training the entrepreneurs, nurturing them, telling them how to pursue their own business, how to apply the actuarial science I used to always tell them, wherever there is risk, you can apply actuarial science. And people were like, can we apply actuarial science in my father's business? So last week itself, I got a call that my father's business is into mining. So can we apply that? So I was like, of course, why not? There are so many papers, enterprise risk management is there, and moreover, whatever probability, whatever we are studying, that can be equally applied. And once that innovative ideas comes into younger generation, that only will turn out to be the future of the actuarial profession. So I really like this, training the entrepreneur. As a woman, I can say that yes, as Subha also said, that yes, of course, the male people who were there in my life have always supported me, and that is why I'm sitting over here. That is why I'm again pursuing, continue to pursue my studies, PhD I am pursuing. I'm still giving the actuarial papers, few are left. So that's how, but yes, I can also say that it is a very tough job to be a woman, to be a mother, to be in the job, and to study as well. So, but yes, the message that I would like, since you are the younger generation, ignite your entrepreneurial spirit, because be the leaders, be the future of this niche profession. So that's it.
Beautiful stories and examples of such tenacity. Thank you for sharing, all of you. I'll now start some other, randomly selected questions for all of you. Sinjali, I'll come to you first. So you mentioned that, you transitioned from a job to being an entrepreneur by yourself, owning Lighthouse. What changes did you see as an entrepreneur compared to your journey as an employee?
Oh, thank you so much. From a job to an entrepreneurial role, I actually think of, three Ps, if I may put it that way. First is, what is the power that you are operating with? So in my job, and specifically as an actuary, the power I was operating with was being a subject matter expert. Of course, there was a bit of stakeholder management, but we knew we are right, and we are typically right as actuaries. So, it's only to explain to the other person why they are wrong. Now, as an entrepreneur, you understand that your strength is not only knowing the right answer or how to do it, but many more things. In fact, most of the time, you are successful when you have outsourced most of your job to the right people. So it's your power of connection, knowing who the right people are. It's your power of charisma. You walk into a room and people maybe, you know, pay attention to you, listen to you, notice you, remember you, recall you, give business to you later on. Of course, subject matter expertise, but also your persona, how you approach them. Are you a good fella, next door neighbor? Are you a very knowledgeable, wise person? Are you, you know, very erudite? So a lot goes into our personality as well as our power when it comes to an entrepreneurship, as compared to, you know, early roles, early years. As a business leader, you again need to have all, which is why we often say, you know, leaders are entrepreneurs in their own way. The second is passion. Why am I doing this out of everything else? And why am I picking up this battle out of so many battles out there? You know, United Nations Development, for example, they have, you know, so many, like there is climate problem. Then there is a problem of poverty. Then there is, you know, X, Y, Z. But why do I choose, for example, if I choose gender sensitivity? Why do I choose one from the plethora of problems? Because maybe I relate personally to it, because maybe it keeps me awake in the night. So why you? The passion comes from why, and as beautifully said just before this by Steve, you know, focus on the why. The how has been mostly outsourced, fortunately or unfortunately, because the how is more systemic, more instrumental, and it is not unique to me. But why are you the right person to talk about this problem? Who are you? One, ethos. Do you solve the problem well? The logos, logically, does it really solve the problem? And pathos, do you understand the problem? Do you empathize with the end users? So these are two very strong points, power and passion, nice things. But last thing, the third thing, provision. You don't get that check by the end of the month. That's a huge difference, Anna. You don't have health insurance. You have to sell. And we are all, you know, many of us, middle class upbringings, we have never known how to sell. We have never known how to, you know, catch the limelight and shine it and say, oh my God, you know, thump our chest. So that provision, not just money, but also resources, different kinds of resources, connection, taking the right decisions. A lot of it really changes the person that you are. I think we may complain about work hours, but once you are an entrepreneur, you are happily wishing you had 48 hours instead of restricting yourself to 8 hours a day. It's a very, very exciting phase. Take the risk if you would, but remember power, passion, and also make sure you have your provisions. Thank you.
Beautifully answered. Obviously, not all of us can or should become entrepreneurs. You know, some of us have to have that outsourced work as well. And just therefore, because you've glamorized entrepreneurship so much, I'd like to hear your thoughts, Shubha, on how can one bring entrepreneurship in their jobs on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think definitely, sitting on this side and, sitting on that side, listening on entrepreneurship may sound very, very glamorous, but we all know our struggles, and it is a hard journey as well. So for someone who is on the job, and like you rightfully said, not everybody can become an entrepreneur. There are situations that they are in. I think it's key to sort of find areas where you feel you can sort of best contribute to. So since I come from the reinsurance industry, I can only take example of that and give examples that when you are, looking at a client and they have a challenge in terms of any new product development that you're looking at, I think it's very critical for the teams to sort of put themselves in that shoes and then think with that entrepreneurial mindset. So if I can solve a problem for my client, that in itself is entrepreneurial. It doesn't have to be that you have to quit your job and start something else. Within the space that you are in, are you able to sort of take different steps to provide solutions which are unique? Are you able to think slightly out of your box? I'm saying this with a lot of, saying that I'm not trying to preach here, but definitely, if one was to take a step back and look at their current situations, you can find opportunities where you could ignite that entrepreneurship spirit.
Beautiful. I think both of you sort of alluded to it. You want to find those 48 hours in the 24 hours. I think, Nishta, can you shed some light on, how does one find work-life balance? You all brought that up in your stories as well. If you can share your thoughts on that.
That is, I think, the most toughest question for a woman to answer, how to manage and how to bring out the balance. So, again, talking about my journey and how I managed the work life, I had my kid in September 2021, and just after 3 months, it happened to be that I got to join back in my job. So in December itself, I joined back, and simultaneously there was such circumstances that I need to join for the PhD as well. So I joined January 2022, I joined for the PhD, and in that curriculum, we used to have 5 days of job, and then the PhD curriculum used to state that Saturday, Sunday, you would be having the coursework classes. So 7 days, out of which 5 days allocated to the job, and the coursework used to last from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. So I was like, for those 6 months, it was very, very tiring, I also feel, I wonder how I have completed those 6 months. Because at that time, I was sleepless, because my kid was just 3 months old. Handling everything, I managed those 6 months. Now, when I see myself today, I feel when I can manage those 6 months, when I was not even getting sleep enough, then why can't I manage these 4 things together? The PhD, job, being mother, and the household chores. Why not now? So what I have done in my, by doing this work-life balance, the balance that I'm maintaining, yes, I do 5 days of work. If it is required, I do on Saturdays also work. However, I have made one specific rule. On every Friday evening, I will be not available for anything. I will be going out with my kid, or maybe with my family members. So this one rule helps me to rejuvenate myself and make myself ready for the next day to work harder. Otherwise, my mind is actually exhausted and I'm not able to focus with lot more of rigor. So maybe what you people can do is, you can also think of few more rules that can actually be adopted over in your life, so that it will get smoothened up and you may compensate for your life. Because ultimately, job, if like I am doing a job, so sorry to say, but the moment I die, everybody is going to forget me. That's the reality. So, but your family members will not. So take out time for them, maintain a balance, try to compensate, and obviously we need to earn as well. We need recognition, we need designation, we need money, we need everything. So we need to maintain balance. Some days more amount of work, some days more amount of family. So that's it.
Always back to provisions. Speaking of work-life balance, over to you, Astha, to share a little bit about the importance of wellness, health, both of body and mind, and especially drawing from your own body of work.
Yeah, I mean, I think this question is valid whether you're an entrepreneur or you're working. It is just one of those things that I think we deprioritize so much, and that is ourselves. I mean, I do believe there is a lot of merit in spending time with family and the connections you feel. There's a lot of serotonin that gets secreted as well when you're making connections. But as women, and this is just me, I sometimes feel we put ourselves last. And maybe it's not just women, it's all of us. Like, you know, we are so busy, like, okay, my kid has to be taken care of, my spouse has to be taken care of, there's work, and then there is the grocery list, and then there is parents, and then there's so much we are always juggling. And then I think in all of that, we forget that who's the person who's doing it? Us. And where is our fueling time? We don't even think about that. And I think that is why the concept of like burnout and stress and people wanting to suddenly leave their jobs and just like go away. No, it doesn't need to reach that extreme. If we can just on a daily basis, or if not daily, at least weekly basis, have this thing of what feeds me, what gives me happiness, whether it's just reading a book, whether it's doing a new course, whether it's going to the gym or going for a dance class or a meditation, just observing your breath, staring at the ceiling and just introspecting life. I mean, there are so many ways in which you have to first feed yourself, because I know the world believes that it's great to be a selfless person, but to be selfless, first the self has to be full. And for that, sometimes being selfish is okay. Because if your cup is not full, what are you going to offer? You are going to get depleted, and people can see through that after a point. Like, you could try your best, you'll be like, I'm at my best behavior, I'm smiling, I'm saying the right things, I'm saying thank you, sorry, and it still backfires. Well, it backfires because we are not full. And when we are depleted, everything else that's coming out of us is also going to just be depleted. So hence, I just believe that something like, my mediums are obviously dance and music and meditation and a lot of spiritual work, but each one of us will have our own mediums and means of finding a little bit more of ourselves. And that also kind of brings me to this thing that an actuary who's just an actuary is that bit, because it just makes you so much more expansive if you have something a little which is for yourself. Because when you keep finding yourself every day, or every second day at least, you're also coming up with newer things. You will be surprised the level of your creativity, the level of your focus, the level of your efficiency. And that has nothing to do with how intelligent or you're capable. No, it is just about the fact that I took time out for myself and I discovered a new aha about myself. And now when I put it into life, the result is somehow magical. So yeah, I think that's where wellness and health, though I have a particular means of doing it, but wellness, health is just, I think this thing that you need to do for yourself. Your soul needs to be fed, just like your body needs to be fed the right food, your soul needs to be fed the right kind of thoughts, spending time with yourself, and we educate ourselves, we gather so much knowledge because we want to be intellectually so intelligent, but what about the other aspects, right? So our emotions matter, our thoughts matter, how we've woken up in the morning, are we feeling heavy in the body, is there a pain that's always there in the morning when I wake up, even if I've slept 9 hours, am I still waking up tired? These are not questions we ask ourselves. And we just keep suppressing that. Nah, it's okay, I have to still get up and go. Yes, you have to get up and go, but these questions need to be addressed as well. And I think that is the difference between a burnout and a sustainable, happy living, no matter what you're doing. At the end of the day, we have to be happy, or at least at peace, wherever we are. And who has to be at peace? Us. And if we don't even ask ourselves questions on a daily basis as to how am I doing today, then how is that going to happen? So yeah, I think I'm a big believer that wellness and health has to go hand in hand with whatever you are doing in life. So it's not an add-on, it is a very integral part of your life. So yeah.
You totally justified my glass of wine on Friday.
Yes, that too, absolutely. Like,
we're
yes,
not
needed.
promoting alcoholism, guys. While I have plenty more questions, I feel like I'll take the one that's really close to my heart, but it'll be one for all of you to answer one by one. I'd like to ask you all what advice you would give to your 5-year-old self, or 15-year-old self, or 25-year-old self, or to yourself for the future. I think I'll start with Sinjini. What advice would you give to your 5-year-old self?
Wow. I hope my 5-year-old self wouldn't listen to anybody, including myself. We were too suppressed. At 5 years, I did not know that that was the most wise and intelligent And by intelligence, I don't mean intellectually intelligent, but intelligent, somebody who is in tune with the body, in tune and harmony with mind, body, hand, heart. At 5 years, I guess if I still have to give an advice, I would just want to tell that little girl that, one, she is loved. I feel a lot of everything that we spoke about here all comes down to that inner child wound. We had to prove ourselves to earn that love. Unfortunately, at times even in our parents' eyes, and then to behave, hush down, keep quiet, cover our legs. So I would like to tell her that she is loved and she can be anything that she wants to be. And then if I get some more time and her attention anymore, I would tell her to be physically safe, but mentally and morally very, very brave. Physically safe, of course, we know the reality, we know everything that has been going on, that has been sitting in our heart even as we sleep every day these days. Physically safe, very important, but morally brave. Speak up, At 5, at 15, at 25, now, later, anytime, do speak up. We have got platforms today, do speak up. Thank you.
I'm lost for words. Thank you for saying that. I'll say that to my 7 and 9-year-old boy and girl today. Speak up and be safe physically. So sorry about this, Shiba, 15-year-old self.
Yeah, to make it light, I would say to when I was 15 is to play more sports. That's one area I completely neglected. I think I stopped playing any kind of sport after 11. And now it's come back and in a big way. And a lot of what Asta just mentioned, I think fitness is very important. And if you are active in your childhood, it really helps. So I struggle, but then I keep pushing. So yeah, I would say to play a sport.
Well said. Nishtha, needless to say, you work with college students and nearly 25-year-olds.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear from you.
I think all the students over here present here watch OTT platforms, Netflix, Prime, videos. Yes? Can I have few people raise their hand if they watch? Very less student. I should see more hands to be raised up for this OTT platform. I hope most of the people have watched this 12th fail. So there was a phrase over there, restart. For whatever thing that you are doing, be it actuarial science, be it any other profession, be it IAS, be it anything, restart if you fail. Because even in failure also, you will learn many things. I myself have failed CT2 many times. And still I have a fear for that. But still, every time you clear, every time you fail, whenever you are reading the content again and again, you will figure out some new stuff. And that is very, very much required. So you just need to evolve yourself with the latest technologies as well. It is never a thing that ChatGPT or AI is going to replace humans. Because ultimately all these technologies are made by humans. So they cannot replace us. It is human mind that is making it up. Human mind who is feeding the information into ChatGPT. So you need to take care, you need to keep your mind updated because you will be then out of the industry if you're not following the new technologies. So you can never say that studies are over, now it's the easiest of the life or comfortable life that you can lead to and you don't have to study. Study has to happen. It is inevitable. You cannot stop studies at any stage of life, be it in any of the profession. So even if in any of your job profile also you have not done the work up to the mark, don't regret. Just learn from your mistakes and again restart. That's it.
Majani life. And Astha, to the future self. Finish that exam, the last paper.
The last paper. No, I think to my future self, I would like to just put out a reminder that it may never be enough. You know, we may never feel that we have enough money, we have enough comforts, we have enough, like, I feel the chase can go on endlessly. There is no end to how much more we can do, and while there is nothing wrong with that, it's great to be constantly accomplishing and like going for it. Do take time out for things that matter. Take time out for some level of stillness. Take time out for some level of enjoying your small wins, because you will be already ready for the next one, next competition, but do take time to enjoy what you have also accomplished and reached, because I don't think it is ever enough. That's just how life is, so yeah, that's me.
To wrap, I'll take 2 questions from the audience, and I know Cheryl had put in a word earlier to ask a question to the panel. And I'll take one more after this one. How good a catch are you?
Look, thank you all. That was fantastic. So you have put me on the spot a little bit, because I had you'd actually asked one of the questions that I had been thinking of. So I think we've covered some great stories. Look, I guess I just wanted to hear, you know, as women, I think you've talked very much about. I really liked the quote about you walk with heavier steps. Do you feel, as you have gotten older and as you have progressed and become so successful in your own right, that load is easing, and in fact it is becoming more easy for women as they move ahead in the corporate world?
Yeah, I think whether the path has become easy or not, I don't know, but definitely what has become easier is just being myself. You know, I think early on, and I speak for myself, there was too much pressure that I used to take on myself to prove. As the experience grows and as you age, I think that's definitely come down. There isn't the feeling of I don't need to prove to anybody anything. That keeps growing. And I think, so in that sense, yes, the weight starts to sort of reduce as you go on.
If I may just add a little few more angles to it. As Shubha covered the personal, of course, we age and we develop the courage to be disliked, I guess. We have less to lose, or, you know, we are just oblivious. But the personal is political, and there is much more that's happening out in the world, and we are only children of motivation, we are children of our ecosystem. While we spoke a lot about work-life balance, and at the same time we also spoke about being mothers ourselves and, you know, gave advices to 5-year-old ourselves, but of course had, you know, some child in mind. Motherhood is such a huge, huge thing, but often in these professional conversations, we tend to, you know, it's almost a paradox. If I am maximizing, optimizing my profession, my self-care, somewhere the motherhood piece, I mean, it's only one pie that I'm sharing, right? I feel that, of course, there was a lot of problem in the past, and we are only trying to solve it going forward. But at the same time, we are also having new problems. We are mobile people. We are leaving our hometowns, coming and making a job out of, you know, new places, new, and also different kinds of jobs than those days. Government jobs versus now, you know, wishing we had 48 hours. It is said it takes a village to raise a child. Now the mother is often the only village, the whole village in herself. So we are eating out of our own flesh. You know, sorry for that, like, allegory, but somehow it's almost like we are feeding on ourselves. At times, really that self-care choice comes down to feeding the baby versus feeding myself. And not just for soul, but also when we are famished, hungry. So essentially, there are new problems that are getting created, Cheryl, as the older problems we are trying to solve. We want independence, we are breaking out of joint families for every, you know, right reasons. The woman was the last to eat and the last to go to sleep and the earliest to get up and all of that in an Indian household. However, being on our own also doesn't solve all the problems because we don't have the resources. Because we also want to be financially independent so we can call the shots and leave the marriage if we wish to, but we cannot if we have taken a decision in favor of the child and sat at home. So there are many problems. This is a very interlaced system problem. There is no one answer to it. I think we are solving and creating new problems. This is evolution. Empathy is perhaps the only answer, and getting the men, getting the mothers and the fathers, getting the allies in the room, and not considering women problem as women problem, but as human civilization, and we are just better together. You know, it's not one pie it's getting the voice at the table, not just a seat at the table. Not to masculate ourselves in order to be successful at the profession, but to create a more feminine and a more inclusive culture which is softer by nature. We can get our jobs done, but our styles may be different, our personalities, archetypes may be different. I feel for a long time, we were actually trying to masculate ourselves to win that game. Now we are talking about equity and not equality. We need to constantly keep these discussions on because no problem is getting solved without creating more and more problems every day.
Beautifully said, as only you could. Can I have one more question from the crowd, the last one? And this is in the interest of many of us going back to either our mothers or our children in our case. Tushar has one.
I mean, anybody from the audience would want to take it? Yeah, so just not as Tushar, the ED of IAI, as a father to a girl, right? She's 16. Would you all tend to agree that good education, good robust belief in educating yourself still happens to be your greatest weapon to begin with? Times have changed. The construct of our society is, has transformed itself from, just having a singular belief that you need to go through the road-based system and get into something which gets you into a job and then, move on, continue moving on with that. Yes, that's changed. That's changing, and I tend to agree with that. But do you feel, would you agree? And that's for the younger generation. So probably I'm articulating it not just for my daughter, but then also for them. Would you tend to agree that good education is still your first weapon as women, as young women, at women at every juncture?
Education could be a first weapon, but then the very first thing that starts is from the home itself. If at home we are following the things that we want to tell, like if I say that there is equality between boys and girls, just saying doesn't suffice enough. I need to follow it, I need to inculcate it starting from my home. That if I'm having a daughter as well as a boy, I need to create equality. I need to have that, yes, if he is crying, if she can go alone, he can also go alone, or whatsoever be the case. Everything should be equal, then only the things will change. However, as what the case Sanjani said, that I again feel that in few terminologies and few things, due to gender differences, there has to be some difference that needs to be created for women and men separately. Maybe others can add.
May I just add a little bit, Tushar, to that? If by education you mean academic education, we should all get education opportunity, and as parents, we nowadays have no children or one or maximum two, at best three if there is an accident, to be very honest. So essentially we all try to put that on priority. Academic education, yes, of course it's very empowering, it gives you confidence. I feel as a woman, and each one of us on this platform again, I think we really, stayed up nights cramming notes and burning the midnight oil. So we did get educated a little bit on average. And of course, there are all, but if you watch, say, for example, Shark Tank India, or Shark Tank, like the US show, you will see that I'm talking about success and money. I'm not even going into fulfillment or, other lofty terms. Even success is not so much based on academic education. It is about confidence, it is about empowerment, it is about resourcefulness. So while as parents we provide them what we can provide them, I feel it is very important to also shift focus to making them believe they are enough and they are loved. They don't have to earn our love by making us proud. In fact, my book, Elixir, which I wrote, in that my protagonist's constant sense of void comes from the fact that my parents would love me if I get marks. And I think many of us, again, it's not to blame one set of imaginary parents that I characterized, but just to say that education is good, but we have to give without putting their worth on their marks or whether they crack something, etc. And one, to be successful financially doesn't depend on education. Two, to be fulfilled doesn't depend on success. So all these definitions are also evolving every day. I feel, who knew that YouTuber could be one of the millionaires of the generation? I mean, as children, if we played games, our parents would spank us. So we know nothing about how the world is going to turn out. In fact, there is a study that says, in 2023, I may be misquoting, but 80% of the jobs in 2030 has not even been invented as yet. So we don't even know what education to give them. Our education system is, of course, very prehistoric and industrial. It asks to shut up, shush down, and read and wrote notes and just, vomit it out on the paper and forget all about it in the evening. So that entire system needs to be challenged. Somewhere I believe I am enough is what matters at the end of the day. There are so many people who cannot even sign, but they are so sharp, and they have a different kind of intelligence. In fact, Gardner's work, if any of you have come through it, this spatial intelligence, she dances, she knows about it. Spatial intelligence. There is body intelligence, there is social intelligence, somebody who just knows how to get work done or knows, 6 degrees of connection, kahan se kisko milna hai. So there are so many different kinds of things. I feel once we know we are enough, we don't have to get our parents' love by getting math scores, we'll automatically do better.
I completely agree with what you've said. I think the times will truly change when we have to stop saying that education is our first weapon. Because if it's a weapon, then underlying it is the fact that we're going in for a battle. And someone has to win or lose. And that's the problem. Like, even education somewhere, from not being educated at all, women started educating, yes, but it came from a complete space of having to prove ourselves, having to do it so that we could please other people, so that we could have a standing somewhere. But at the end of it, it's still a double-edged sword. It's still coming from a space of, I'm not enough, so if I do this, these are my weapons, and I will keep throwing it so that then I can prove that I'm better. But when it stops being a weapon is, I think, when actually things will really change. So, yeah.
Well said, well said. With that, I think we will wrap up. And as a last, sorry, just a second. When President calls, you answer.
With your permission, Sana, I have one query. I'm sure you have answered that, but just curious. This is not a gender-based query, so you can answer it generically. You have answered in a contextual frame, but if you have to choose between chasing success and money at one end and chasing wellness and happiness at the other end, which one you choose? And how would you choose? Because often I have seen after you have successfully chased success and money, and then you come to the next, right? So why and how and what's the priority order it should be? Briefly, if you could.
Okay, at the cost of getting any rap from Asta, I do, and probably it's the upbringing, the middle class upbringing. you chase success and money, and once you establish yourself is when other things follow. So it's very nice, and it's probably right also to chase wellness and health. But then at the end of the day, if you don't have any money, it can't be chased. So it goes hand in hand, but yeah, I mean, probably I would say that there has to be some amount of passion to chase. And success can be defined very differently for different people. So I don't think we should define it in a corporate way to say what is success. It can be your own success in whatever you are trying to achieve.
So I'm a little confused whether it was wellness and health or wellness and happiness.
Happiness, okay.
I mean, I don't disagree with what Subhash said at all. Just one little thing, that if you are happy, automatically means that you have what you want. So you automatically have, if you want success, you will have success because that's what makes you happy. That is, so which is what I mean, that, you know, we make happiness our end goal, like after we've achieved so much money. But we realize that even when we have the money, we're not happy. So if you make happiness your companion, then everything that makes you happy will come alongside for the ride. It will not be one fine day, is what I believe in. And which is why the importance of, and when I say wellness and happiness, I don't just mean like sit in one place and just like, you know, do breath work. No, the passion. Passion comes, the underlying process of passion, the key word is happiness. When you're in it, you're so fully present that nothing else matters. And when you're anyway doing that, there is very little chance that success, money will not come along because you are so 100% present there. So, yeah.
Thank you. We will. That's a wrap. On that happy note, it's a wrap. Thank you for your time, ladies. It was a wonderful conversation.
Do them off the stage? Yeah. Okay. Mementos of appreciation.
You can't, I mean, you can't do work so much and, you know, get your own memento, right? So let me do the honors, please. For the wonderful panel, I hope, wait, did we hear a round of applause from all the young girls and boys here? And if you didn't feel a lump in your throat, you know, you'd be lying. I'm sure all of you felt it, you know, strike your hearts, just the way I did. And we couldn't have asked for a better and a more honest panel, right? So thank you very much, and another round of applause by the time the mementos will come. Thank you very much.
Cheryl, if you could just come in and share your closing remarks, please.
Thank you, Sana. It has been an absolute honour to join the IAI celebration of Actuaries Day. I would like to thank Tusha, and I'd like to thank the entire IAI senior executive team and all of the members and students that have joined us here today. I'd like to acknowledge our guests of honour from IFSCA and thank them for hosting us here at Gift City, such a visionary global initiative and a fitting venue for today's event. It was a pleasure to hear updates from the Institute of Actuaries of India and to also consider the 4 futures as laid out by the International Association. However, perhaps generative AI and its analysis of all cows being the same colour may show that some of these are slightly more distant futures than perhaps thought. I do hope that you enjoyed hearing from Professor Steve Stern from my own university, Bond University, and his commentary on modern mathematical analytics. Steve spoke about the broad application of quantitative skills, and I see this regularly as our Bond actuarial graduates are in such high demand by employers across diverse sectors. So those of you that have chosen to study in this field, you are choosing the right path. And thank you to our fabulous, fabulous panel for sharing your inspirational stories. I loved hearing about the choices and the different journeys that you have all taken to become the incredible women that you are today. So thank you again. Bond University is one of only a small number of universities in Australia that offers fully accredited actuarial degrees, and we are committed to excellence in the discipline. We're excited about our new partnership with IAI and look forward to building this relationship in the future. It was mentioned today that there is a need to grow awareness of what actuaries do, what actuarial science is. And today, you have all collectively contributed to building that awareness. Thank you again for the insights and the inspiration. Happy Actuaries Day.
Thank you for summarizing that for us. Finally, this event would not have been successful without all of the guests, both in person as well as guests and attendees in person as well as our virtual attendees today. All of the organizers, ladies and gentlemen of IAI, you all have really slogged hard to make this happen for us today. Thank you. All speakers and your inspiring words telling us that AI is coming for us and still that AI is neither artificial nor intelligent, as well as knowing that in the Gift City there's hope, be it AI. I hope that all of you have a great evening today, and you start tomorrow, even whether you're studying or you're working, as a very great day. Make us all proud. And finally, I'd also like to thank Star Union Daiichi, who are the gold partners for the event today. Thank you again. Thanks, everyone. Go home.